Think of a number, any number. Take that number, stick a pound sign in front of it, and chances are, no matter how big or small it is, there's a watch you can buy for that price. But just because you can spend the money, does that mean what you're getting is worth it? To answer that question, we've got 3 watches, one for £2,000, one for £10,000, and one for £20,000. The question is, can you tell the difference? For a Swiss watch manufactured by a well-established brand, £1,000 to £2,000 is around the entry point, especially on a bracelet. This gets you a stainless steel watch, no precious metals here, not at this price, that's well made and contains a mechanical movement, such as this Frederique Constant Slimline. Although Frederique Constant has developed in-house movements, those are a bit more expensive. Developing an in-house time-only movement is estimated to cost in the region of £1 million, so it's understandable for a company with a relatively small output to rely on something more affordable for its cheapest watches. It's to a company called Sellita that Frederique Constant turns to here, a Swiss manufacturer of movements based on the expired patents of ETA designs. With parent company Swatch Group restricting access to ETA movements, more and more entry-level brands are turning to Sellita to furnish their watches with power. A Sellita SW300, a clone of the ETA 2892, is customised for Frederique Constant with an engraved rotor weight. It comes fully furnished from Sellita and for the price offers a respectable specification and aesthetic. Much of the work is performed by machine to keep the costs to a minimum. The finish is pleasing, the striping and graining on the larger surface areas catching the light and giving a sense of depth to the material. It's simple but sweet, a reminder of why you chose to spend a significant amount of money on a mechanical watch rather than settling for something cheaper and less interesting. A similar approach is demonstrated with the dial, offering a level of quality and finishing that elevates it into the realm of premium, but without costing the earth. There are little treats like applied markers, a frame for the date window, and a subtle texture to the silvery dial. This is the benchmark, so what does a cost 5 times greater afford? Plucked straight from the Master Collection, the ultra-thin Moon is Jaeger-LeCoultre's mid-level dress watch. There are sub-second and time-only variants below it, and world timer and perpetual calendar variants above, placing the ultra-thin Moon somewhere in the Goldilocks zone. We also get the introduction of gold here too, with the rose gold model costing £14,800 and the white gold £16,800. Steel is still an option at a more wallet-friendly £7,650, placing the collection at an average of around £10,000. It's a lot more to pay over the Frederique Constant, but is it worth it? Starting with the dial, the Jaeger-LeCoultre has a rich sunburst finish surrounded by sculpted markers, each separated by precise semi-spherical dots of gold print. At a glimpse, not so impressive, but with a little magnification, the precision comes to light. The Frederique Constant is well made, but the Master Ultra-Thin Moon is leaps and bounds ahead in the finer details. But it's on the flip side that the spend really begins to show its worth. Jaeger-LeCoultre's Caliber 925 is not only in-house, but also a masterclass in movement manufacture. There's a reason all of the top 3 watchmakers, Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet and Vacheron Constantin, have all used Jaeger-LeCoultre movements, and the Caliber 925 makes that reason obvious. It's over-engineered in typical Jaeger-LeCoultre style, the time, date and moon phase complications requiring a whopping 253 parts, more than the average chronograph. It's here that we're introduced to one of the biggest time and money pits in movement manufacture: hand finishing. Never mind the cost of designing and developing your own movement and the tools to do so, it's the finishing that adds the zeros to the price tag. Most movement manufacturers produce blank parts via automation, even the big guns, But where a more affordable movement is simply machined and assembled, a more dedicated, read expensive, watchmaker will first apply graining, striping, beveling and polishing with hand tools. This can push the time and cost to manufacture a movement up by a factor of 10. But it can be even more than that still, as we're about to find out. Now we're in the realms of the top 3 watchmakers, namely Vacheron Constantin. Steel is no longer even an option with this Traditionnelle, where we start in white gold at £17,700 and top out at £25,900 in platinum. This rose gold version balances the scales at £20,100. Let's see what we get for that spend. If it were a numbers game, it would look like a terrible deal. We've lost the date and moon phase function of the Jaeger-LeCoultre and the automatic winding as well. You have to wind this watch by hand yourself. Everything else at a glance seems incredibly similar to the Jaeger-LeCoultre, yet the gaping chasm in price yawns wide. It's to magnification again we go to learn more, starting, of all places, with the second hand. See how the shaft of the hand, as it navigates its subdial, is rounded rather than flat, and how the circular mounting plate has a beveled edge. The Jaeger-LeCoultre doesn't get that because it's very time-consuming to do, even if you can only see it with the help of a lens. And the dial itself, you'll have noticed it isn't smooth or even grained. It has a guilloche pattern, hand-turned on a Rose engine, and again, that's no speedy process. There are so many layers and finishes to the dial that it alone would cost more than the entire Frederique Constant. Revealing the caliber 4400 AS movement is like seeing in high definition for the first time. There's a combination of fine, crisp detail and striking contrast that can only be achieved with utmost precision, skill and time. Plenty of time. For instance, the edges of each bridge haven't simply been beveled by hand, they've been mirror polished by hand too. If you've ever attempted to hand polish a scratch from your car's paint, you'll appreciate that this is a tedious exercise. Now, imagine doing it under a microscope. And it doesn't stop there, because every recess, every facet, every component, even the ones you can't see, gets the same attention to detail. That's why the watch has been awarded the Geneva Seal, one of the highest independent standards of watchmaking achievable. That what can seem so similar in passing can actually be so different describes the very essence of high watchmaking. The focus on detail, no matter how obscure or unseen, to create a benchmark so close to perfection while upholding standards of tradition is what turns engineering into sculpture. With an understanding of the work and skill required to create a class-leading watch like this Vacheron Constantin, the differences, after all, stand out like a beacon in the night. Discover more exceptional watches at watchfinder.co.uk. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If there are any other watches you'd like to see reviewed, please let us know in the comments below.